remember.
Yeah, we did it live with Josh.
And for giggles, I think I'm just going to reboot the computer. It doesn't look like there's much signal there. Well, looks like we're on the internet. Let's see why this. Oh, there we go. All right. Am I live? Am I really live? Never occurred. Get shareable link. This is this is the way I have to do it because I have to know if the link's not going out and coming back. I got a shareable link. Let's try. Maybe it looks like we're live. Oh, we got a commercial. That's good. Matt McMatt, what's happening, brah? It was buffering for a bit, but now it's good. Yeah. I think as soon as I went live, the freaking internet dropped out. Is anybody else in here? 5 watching. Oh my gosh. Need some people chiming in here. Need to know who's watching. Well, Bert is back in the South. You've been back in the South already once, twice. How many times you been back in the South?
I think we got here maybe 2 months ago, something like that, and then I turned and went back to Louisiana, and then that was at least Rye 44, my location. So that was October 29th. I was camping October 30th. Where is this? No, that's still Colorado. Hang on. So it took us 2 weeks to go from Salida to here. It was ridiculous.
Matt, how's the audio? Does it sound okay? I got to know. I mean, it looks good on this end, but I never know until somebody says, "Oh man, I can't hear you," or "Oh, there's a buzzing," or "Oh, there's something playing in the background." What's the noise in the background? It looks like the signal is okay. Looks like we're streaming okay. Let me know if there's anything. I don't know that there's anything I can do about lighting at this point, but
The lighting looks pretty good.
good audio. Lighting sucks. Yeah, lighting sucks for a couple of reasons. I can't see the screen if there's a whole lot of lighting in here. I guess I could probably try to turn this up a little bit. But not just that. Ooh, see, that's one step up. That's one step up, and he's blown out. So, yeah, y'all are just gonna have to deal with the whole. Yeah, this is not a make Bert pretty live cast. This is a
Just the facts.
This is Bert trying to tell a story about what the hell he's been doing for March. We went out in March. And
Middle of March.
You've been out on the motorcycle since March. So I left the Rockies last week in July.
Was it July?
First week in August. I came home way early. I didn't want to come home before the end of September or hopefully October. I was hoping to stay out for 8 months. I was hoping, well, I've always told people I don't know that I want to ever cross the Rockies, any part of the Rockies in December. So I think probably November would probably be the hard limit for me because I got to be I at least be on this side. I don't like riding on ice. So just the thought of me having to outrun a storm and try to get over the Rockies, just like, I mean, I guess I could hide out in Arizona or something. It just, I don't know. I've just never done it. I've never
Yeah.
ridden that time of year. I've never ridden in winter over the Rockies, so just kind of intimidating and scary. So, but November, 1st of November sounded really good. I thought I could stay out till then. That would have been what? That's 8 months, isn't it?
Yeah.
November, yeah.
Well, the middle of October, they had 4 to 6 inches of snow on top of Monarch Pass. So I got there about 5 days after that.
When was this?
Middle of October.
Yeah, I try to get out of the mountains of Colorado before October because I've been up there first of October and it's starting to snow. And usually you'll see a blanket. Well, I don't know. The number of times I've been up there in October is enough to make me think, especially around in the San Juan, just kind of scary because like you could get snowed in
Right.
fucking October and not be able to get out. So, yeah. Yeah, usually when I see the first sign of snow's coming, might be an inch of accumulation, and like I'll get out. The roads it might melt on the roads. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I just don't know enough about that area to know. It's like, you can't just get on a subway.
Yeah.
You can't, load your bike up in a train or, what do you do? All right, well, we've talked so much at this point. Yeah, thanks, Matt. I was hoping that wouldn't be that big of a deal. So if you don't know Bert and I started out riding in March. We met in North Alabama. Bert came in from Atlanta. We met at a rally in March, went to another rally in Louisiana after that. And then we rode to Texas, hung out with Gary for a few days until he smoked us out. And then we went across. Yeah, you forgot about that, didn't you?
I was like, really? They're going to burn all that right now?
They're going to burn it right next to our camp.
Yeah.
Not somewhere on the other side of the property. Yeah, that was weird. So then we hauled ass to West Texas where your bike started coming apart.
Yeah.
And we decided as it starts spitting oil out the back of the bike, and at this point, the big picture is this was your first motorcycle. You'd never ridden a motorcycle before this ever, before your big adventure, your first adventure that you've been on the motorcycle all this time. And your first motorcycle takes a shit in West Texas as we're almost out in the middle of nowhere, Texas. Texas.
It was the middle of nowhere.
So we're, an hour outside of Odessa?
Maybe an hour and a half. I think we were 80 miles. Or, no, more than that. I think we were more than that.
I think we were about 60.
I think that's all it was?
Yeah, it wasn't far. It was enough for Brian to get there and rescue us. So his bike takes a shit in West Texas. In this tiny little town, we pull into a gas station, abandoned gas station.
Yeah.
And, tried to figure out what was going on with the bike, hoping it was something simple and just maybe, and there were some hopeful signs, but anytime you're spitting out smoke out of your exhaust, it's not a promising prospect. But anyway, we knew we were in trouble, and we were thinking probably our best bet is to go back east the way we just came, mid-sized, medium town. There was a Honda dealer there, so we figured if all else fails, we put it in the shop. So I start poking around on Facebook to try to find a Bunka Biker host. We call a guy and he hems and haws and I don't know, it's pretty far out. And I was like, you're either going to let us come to your house and stay or not. He was struggling with the fact that he was going to come get us. He was going to come rescue your bike. So basically, he's like, gas money. I was like, oh, you want to come get us? And I was like, gas money is no problem if you want to do that. That's yeah, we'll absolutely cover your gas. And we're just looking for a place to stay. So he shows up an hour and a half later, throws the bike in the back of the truck, and we ride to Brian's house where we spent a week.
9 days, I think it was.
Holy crap! Yes, total stranger on Facebook who's a bit of an adventure guy himself. He rides a good bit. I think he mostly rides around the Rockies area. Does
I
he
don't
go
know.
much further than that?
I know he goes fast.
He's a working man, so. Um, but yeah, so we stayed at Brian's house with his horse that lives indoors. I'm flashing back at all these memories. So yeah, we lived inside Brian's house with his horse. Brian went to work, and
having to go get the horse back because the landscapers left the gate open.
Did I ever share that video? I've got the video. I don't know that I've ever. I need to share that video.
That was horrible.
Well, it wasn't us, but
we were the ones. Yeah.
We were going to totally look like we did it. Who was it? It was the yard guys that let him out, right? Well, who knows? Maybe the horse wouldn't been out of the stable had we not. But we went chasing the freaking Great Dane all over the neighborhood because he freaked out for some reason. He got outside. Maybe it was just he just wanted some freedom, but Brian lives on a pretty busy street.
Oh, it's busy, yeah.
Close to a busy street, and yeah, just think of the families that it would have killed when that horse went through the windshield. Anyway, we're panicking. You're running around on foot. I'm riding around because I can't run around.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to I'm trying to corral this big freaking horse. Anyway, yeah, I need to go pull that video out. So we stayed there while you, for some strange reason, the Honda shop could see it in your face that you're such a poor puppy dog. You needed help. They're like, we'll knock a girl off of the stall that's actually working on a bike that's making us money. She's fixing that, but we'll put her on something else. So they put her on the stall.
They gave me a lift.
They gave you a lift in a motorcycle, a dealership, not some hole-in-the-wall mom and pop, a dealership, a Honda dealer in Odessa, Texas, says, here's your lift. See what you can do. And not just that, they loaned out their encyclopedia of Honda motorcycles that could come hold your hand a little bit while you're wrenching.
Yeah.
But you know how to wrench. You just never owned a motorcycle, so.
Well, I didn't know the torque specs. I never dealt with dual overhead cams,
right.
And so all that stuff. And I never realized until I pulled the head off and the piston is like this big, and I had been doing 70, 75 with all that gear. Almost had a heart attack. I was like, that's the piston? That's the little thing keeping me going down the road?
It's a high efficiency piston.
Till it died.
So anyway, I'll let you tell that story. Tell that story and get people up to speed where we're at. I've been talking all.
Yeah, stopped in the dealership. They didn't know what it could possibly be. I told them I had about 4,000 miles on the thing, 5,000 miles at the most. Came back the next day. Oh, that was a good one too. Don wants me to use carb cleaner, starting fluid, something to get it started because it won't turn over. And I'm like, no, it's not good for the piston. I'm arguing that I don't want to.
We're trying to get your bike to the dealership so you can tear it down and figure out what's going on.
Right.
And you're being obstinate and telling me that you might be blowing up your bike if you put this.
Yeah, I'm like, that's not a good idea. Sure enough, fires up. I turn it off. Won't start up again. Fire it up again. Worked fine. Got it to the dealership. Pulled the plug and put a bore scope in it. And the piston and cylinder were shot. You could see a pretty decent half-inch score with a divot in it from where the rings had broken apart and gouged up the side.
It was not pristine, but I never would have expected that much smoke coming out of that engine because it didn't look that bad to me.
Right.
I would have expected holes in a piston or something. Yeah. I would have expected a lot more. Not just that, you lost a lot of power. None of that really made any sense. But anyway.
So I was like, what are we going to do? And the manager just walks off. And I'm standing there like, well, Like, obviously, there's a problem. You see it as a problem. I'm just going to stand here and hang out till I get some kind of instructions. And then he basically turns around and looks at me and he says, well, what are you doing? Like, what should I be doing? And then he kicks the girl off the lift and it's like, points. I'm like, you want me to put the bike? He's like, yeah, back it on the lift.
That's what it was. You were acting like a puppy dog. I don't know.
I'm not going to walk into a dealership and start, barking orders. So, yeah, he's like, backing it on the lift. And I'm looking at him. He goes, and start tearing it down.
So there was no begging. There was no, it
Oh,
was
no.
just, you're now an employee.
Yeah.
I think they even offered you a job as you were leaving too, didn't they?
I don't know.
That would have probably been smart because you know your way around a wrench.
Yeah.
You just got to learn your way around, and you got a good. What was he? Chief mechanic.
He was the manager of
the
Okay. Maintenance and the repairs and all.
Yeah, cool guy.
So yeah, then we got the thing back and went back to Brian's house, and then we went to Alamogordo.
Hung out with Jim.
And then we ended up in Cortez from Jim. We went camping with Jim. I don't know at what point you had me at the bank parking lot at the ATM. That was sometime in there also.
Yeah, that was cool. That was Cortez. Yeah, that was after
no, that wasn't Cortez. Cortez, we camped in the gazebo that night.
Okay. So we camped in the bank parking lot before we left Odessa. That was in Odessa. Yeah, that was in Odessa as we were rolling through. Sun was going down. I was like, yeah. All these videos are out there.
Oh, did we camp in Odessa and then left Odessa and then broke down
Odessa.
and we came back to Odessa?
Yep. We're destined for Odessa.
Oh, Odessa. The wind and the dust.
The wind and the dust.
It's too much.
Well, we didn't really experience that area. We just were kind of around in town, right? We didn't really experience Odessa. So Mike's in here too. Hey, Mike.
He's that bacon. I was just going to talk about that bacon.
Yeah, we met Mike there. Bacon, yeah. So Mike and Brian are out in the shit all the time. They're out in the. They're out in the. What do you call it? What's the name of that area? Permian Basin.
Yeah.
They're out in the Permian Basin. They're oil guys, and I was gonna say something about Mike. Yeah, so Mike is the only guy I think. No, there's a couple of guys out there. Denny and Mike, a couple of viewers that actually live. I think Denny lives in Midland, I think. Anyway, yeah, so we got to hang out with those guys, but we really didn't go out into the freaking desert of freaking West Texas. I think that's the thing that we missed, is we rode through it, but we didn't go out into the really scary desert flatness. I don't know. I would like to go back at some point and maybe do a little bit of that, but it's just so flat and long and dusty. I don't know if I want to do that. I would like to go see it. When I think of West Texas, I think the gem of West Texas is Big Bend. But anyway, so continue your story. I don't know where you want to pick back up. We stopped in Odessa. We camped overnight. You were a deer in the headlights because you didn't want to set up shit in a bank parking lot because you'd never stealth camped in your life.
But that wasn't stealth camping.
Oh, no, it wasn't stealthy at all.
And then I went to the taqueria to go check it out, and it looked like a scene from Breaking Bad. I'm like, I'm not getting in a hammock out here.
It was not a nice neighborhood. It was mostly commercial, and then you had some, I don't know, middle class, but lower end of middle class. I think I heard a couple of gunshots that night, and lots of screeching tires, and nobody had a muffler.
Nobody had a muffler. It was like, my truck's louder than yours. All night long.
Crack, crack, crack. I heard crack, crack a couple times. I'm like, man, nah, the fire department's right next door. We're good. Even if they do shoot us, we got pretty quick response medical, right?
maybe. I just know. Yeah, the taqueria. Nobody spoke English. There was a couple people sitting in the corner that weren't eating anything and just watching.
Yeah.
The bathroom looked like somebody had had a fight in there, and the beer was not that cold.
Uh-huh.
I'm just like, oh no,
Yeah,
this is where we're camping.
yeah. What have I gotten into?
Yeah, we
I
made
thought
it.
this guy knew what he was doing. Yeah, the problem was we was fucking dragging ass in that wind all day. All the way coming into town, it took us, oh my God. I mean, I was slow, and you
Yeah.
were really slow. So I was fighting the wind. And there was a couple times I just romped on the freaking throttle, and I got nothing. It was just like, nah, no, you got a 50-mile-an-hour headwind. Fuck you. You ain't going nowhere.
Well, the funny thing is, I thought that wind was so strong because I was sitting over on the edge of the seat, like straddling the seat the whole time for an hour or whatever. And then months ago, I was just riding along, and out of nowhere, a gust hit me, and it felt like the tires were going to fold over underneath me.
Right.
And man, I thought, oh, whatever I experienced in Texas was nothing compared to what just happened. And I thought, if I get another rogue blast like that, I don't know if I'm going to be ready for it. I mean, like, yeah, I don't like the wind.
Yeah, no, the wind sucks
I
on a
mean,
motorcycle.
it's bad.
Especially sideways wind.
Oh,
Really.
the sideways wind was not fun.
Yeah. How much riding did you do on the plane? So let's catch everybody up that may know who you are and the background, because this was months ago when we split up. So the people that have been following for a while
It was
know who
8
you
months.
are. Yeah,
8 months ago.
yeah. You're still going like a Energizer bunny.
Yeah, I figure I go at least another month.
Okay.
Well, I had a hard, I stayed in Utah for 2 months, and I was meeting my friend in Ouray, and I had a month between what I was doing and what I was going to do next. And I thought, 30 days? How am I going to kill 30 days? That's a long time. This is the beginning of the trip. Like 30 days, 30 days. And so I just kind of went out and I camped in one spot for a week. And then I went to another spot for 3 or 4 days. And then I went to another spot for 3 or 4 days. And a month was gone. Like, it can go by way faster than you think.
Oh yeah.
And it can also drag on longer than you think. But
Well, when did it drag on? Because to me, it never drags on when I'm out riding. When I'm having fun, it never drags. It always goes too fast.
so when I left Ouray, I was exhausted from 4 days of pushing.
Okay.
And so I stayed in Pitkin for a week.
Okay.
And that week was pretty long. It was 4th of July weekend, so I got there on the 3rd. So the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I did not get on the bike at all. There were side-by-sides everywhere, ripping along,
Right.
and I just felt like there's probably way too many drunk people out,
Right.
and I'm sore.
Uh-huh.
So I need to just hydrate and stretch and stay off the roads. And come to find out, a week later when I was leaving, I was talking to somebody, and there were 2 people on a quad that wound up not wearing helmets, got somehow ejected off of the thing, and had to be life flighted out.
Oh wow.
So I didn't want to be in the middle of all of that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
I
just
don't blame
hunkered down. So choosing, which when you're out this long, choosing to take care of yourself by staying in one place for 5 days or a week, that was hard.
Yeah.
That was exhausting. When it's like I'm good enough to ride, but I need to stop and stay in one spot and just get everything back up to 100%. Recover. Mental health, physical health, like let all that stuff kind of settle. Because yeah, I've gone multiple days pushing it, hundreds and hundreds of miles every day.
Right.
And then next thing you know, you're like, oh, well, I rode till sunset last night, but tonight I'm exhausted because I've been doing it for 3 days.
Right.
And then you make a stupid decision.
Well, so you were telling me earlier you were doing 275-mile days
For
in
20 days.
gravel,
Oh, yeah.
which is impressive for anybody that's ever ridden off-road or off pavement at least. 275 miles a day is respectable on pavement. So doing it off pavement that's that's humming. And you said you were riding 8 hours. That's a good long
Yeah,
day.
because you can't make the bike. The 300 is just not. You can't make huge time.
Right.
So there's
So where were you doing all this riding? So let's catch up. So broke down in Odessa, went up to Alamogordo, hung out with Jim
yep
for what, a week, close to a week,
something like that.
several days. Then we bugged out, went up into hit Cortez overnight, and then we hit
Mancos.
Mancos and hung out there until the weather got threatening and you were anxious to get out of there because you had the idea that we were going to get stuck in there. I had no concerns at all about getting stuck in there, even though I'd camped in there and gotten stuck before. That was up on the mountain, and my apologies for making you think that we were in that situation, and we totally weren't. But you wanted to go somewhere where I was concerned we weren't going to have trees,
Yeah.
and we're probably going to get closer to a bad storm that was coming through. So at that point, we split up. You went to.
I jumped across the border to Blanding.
Yep.
And I think I went up there to get gas. And then I saw that there was a lake with dirt roads around the lake. And so I went up there to the lake and stayed the night. And then from there, what did I do from there? From there, I went down and went over towards Capitol Reef. And then went.
Which is what we were talking about doing before.
Right.
We were talking about riding Capitol. I'd never been. I've been all over Utah, but I've never been to Capitol Reef for some reason. I don't know why, but everything that I read and saw was like, oh, it's extraordinary, but it's remote.
Oh, it's remote. Everything I did was remote.
Yeah.
So, stayed on a mountain on the west side of Capitol Reef. Woke up the next morning. It was only about 50 degrees, but the wind was so bad it was miserable.
Right.
Woke up the next morning and rode out of camp and called my buddy and asked him what he had going on. And he was up near Salt Lake. And he said, well, come up. It's Mother's Day today. Or I think it was Mother's Day. And so I went up. And on the way up, I checked. Everything looked fine. All the weather was good. And that's where I wound up getting caught in that storm. And that's where I lost my umbrella that I brought that I thought.
I love that umbrella.
So I'm going along. And I start hearing like tink, 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 tink. I'm like, what is that sound I'm hearing?
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized it was hail hitting my helmet.
Uh-huh.
And then it got to be big.
Uh-huh.
And I had on a couple layers, but I was layered up for about 50 degrees.
Right.
And it dropped below that and started getting wet. So like my wrists are getting wet, around my neck is getting wet, and it's just getting chilly now. So I just hunkered down as tight as I could, and I'm riding along, and I just kept thinking, it's these rolling hills, and I kept thinking, oh, at the top of the next roller, there's going to be something, right? Surely. And it's like, maybe the next one. And that went on for an hour before I finally just pulled the bike over and did about 20 squats trying to get my body temperature up. I pulled the umbrella out because I was getting hit with the hail at this point, and I opened the umbrella. And when I opened the umbrella, the wind ripped it inside out and bent the shaft of it in half.
Wow.
So I folded it up. I couldn't put it back on the bike, and I stuffed it in a fence, a big square in a fence, and left it. And rode for about another 20 or 30 minutes before I finally came over the top of the hill and saw an antique store. And I pulled in and walked in just looking crazy. And they're like, can we help you? I was just like, do you have anything warm to drink? And the guy says, there's a gas station right there. And I said, where? This is the first thing I saw. I haven't seen anything else. He said, if you just walk out my door and look to the right, there's a whole gas station. So I went and stopped in the gas station. And it was just basically rain and hail at this point. And while I'm sitting in the gas station, the flurries start. Yeah. And that's where the picture came from, of the couple of inches of snow on the bike.
Okay, all right, that makes sense now.
And so I sat there.
It looked like a hotel. That's what I was telling everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I think you stayed in a hotel.
No, it was a gas station. And I had a donut and a cup of coffee. And then I got back on the bike and kept riding to Salt Lake and stayed there for a couple of days. And then from there, we went to Moab and stayed in Moab for a couple of days. And so I'm with a friend.
So we may have been in Moab at the same time. Maybe.
So I'm there, and I'm with a buddy of mine, and all of his friends are there. that I hadn't met yet. So I stayed up one night till about 3 hanging out with everybody. And the next morning, I didn't realize you can't sleep in the desert once the sun comes up.
Yeah.
So it's 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm burning up in the tent.
Uh-huh.
So I get out the next night. Like, I can't stay up that late. So I stay up till about 1:30. Same thing. Didn't get enough sleep. We stayed in Moab a couple more days. And then I headed south and went down to Mexican Hat.
Yeah.
And then
Four
went
Corners,
down to
yeah.
past Mexican Hat to the next little town and came back up because I was looking for a place to camp.
Mhm.
And there was one of those roadside spots that they would sell jade and jewelry
Yeah.
and all that stuff. Well, there was one where people were active, but closer to Mexican Hat, north of where I saw that, was one that looked abandoned.
Mhm.
So I rode through there, and there was a bunch of glass and tires and everything. So nobody had been there in years. So I went back up to Mexican Hat to look for a place to camp by the river, and it was all had to purchase $25 to camp, and there was no place to really hang a hammock, and
Right.
there were bugs by the river. So I turned around and came back about 20 minutes down to this spot,
To the market.
to the market spot, stayed there, and woke up the next morning, and it was amazing. The purples and the reds and the sun rising over Monument Valley,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was out in the middle of it.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Oh, well, that night, I'm laying in the hammock, and I wake up about 1 something, 2 o'clock in the morning. I hear howling, like a lot of howling. And so it was straight out in front of me. And so I thought, it sounds like it's pretty far off, but we're out in this big flat open area. And then a little while later, maybe 30 minutes later, I heard it down further. And I thought, okay, whatever that is going away. So I went back to sleep. Next thing I know, I'm laying in the hammock, and I feel the hammock do like that. And I'm like, what is going on?
Chupacabra.
Yeah.
Desert chupacabra, man.
So I'm quiet, and I hear whatever it is moving around underneath the hammock in the glass and stuff. And so I yelled, hey, and nothing happened. And then I screamed really loud, and nothing happened. And then I clapped my hands. And when I clapped my hands, it scurried underneath me and moved to the side.
Uh-huh.
And then I clapped my hands again, and it left. I guess it was a lone coyote
Could be a dog.
or
maybe.
a dog,
Yeah.
something. But yeah, the whole hammock moved, and I
Yeah.
thought, oh no, I'm in the middle of nowhere.
Uh-huh.
So that was really the only animal instance that I had besides the moose walking in on camp.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
And then from there, I made my way back over towards the Bert Trail.
So you did the Bert Trail.
I did it 3 times.
Shit, yeah, man.
So did the Bert Trail, and then once I got in,
Was it everything that you'd hoped?
yeah,
It was exactly what you were hoping for.
yeah. I
No
was hoping.
disappointment at all?
So if you just do the trail, there was a little bit of disappointment. But of course, I didn't just do the trail. I did some offshoots.
Right.
And one of them was maybe 15 miles. And quickly, I got over my head.
Oh, yeah.
But then I'm like, okay, now I'm like 7 miles in, and I'm over my head. So
Keep going.
I might as well keep going the 7 miles to get out of here. So I went out, and then the next loop off that I did, I think it was Wolverine. It was 30 miles.
Okay.
And it wasn't so bad,
But
but
you're carrying extra fuel with you.
no, I'm not carrying any extra fuel at this point.
Okay.
That's when I realized, oh, I'm getting pretty far in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I'm 30 miles off of the back road, which is in the middle of nowhere. I'm a good 15 miles off of that at this point. And I'm thinking, there's really nobody out here. There's nobody out here. So I'm all on my own. Made it out of there, made it to a little town, and I was exhausted. And I thought, I'm just going to get a room for tonight. Because now it's like, my neck is starting to feel sore, my head's starting to hurt. I think I need a good night's rest.
Right.
So I got a room, couldn't get out of bed the next day.
Ouch.
So I walked to the office and said, I'm going to get another night.
And you're probably dehydrated, too.
Oh, I was probably I didn't drink hardly anything in Moab.
Right.
I should drink something. So the third night in the room, I'm thinking, I don't know when I'm getting out of here. So the fourth day, I wound up going and getting something to eat. And I had been in this town, and I wound up asking this girl at this food truck. I said, if somebody was here and they wanted to work, what would you suggest? And she says, oh, go right down this road. They're building this giant barn. They're paying cash. Just go see.
Nice.
So I rode down there the next day and was feeling pretty good. Like I could, run a pneumatic nailer and climb up scaffolding and stuff. I was good enough for that. And so I showed up and they said, not 5 minutes before I showed up, these two guys were saying, we were just saying that we need a third guy.
Huh.
We were hanging 1 foot by 1 inch by 16-foot Douglas fir on an angle on the side, and then it was going to get sheathed in that stuff too after tar paper was put on.
Right.
But it was hard to swing those boards
Right.
up in the
With
air
2 guys.
with 2 guys.
Yeah.
So as soon as I showed up, they started walking me over to the job box, and they start handing me, it's like, here's a square, here's a tape measure, here's a tool belt, here's a hammer. I'm like, whoa, 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 I haven't even eaten. They're like, well, what do you mean? Like, we thought you wanted to work. I say, give me 20 minutes. Like, let me run and get some food.
I just got off my bike on an adventure.
Yeah, and like,
I just came out of the wilderness.
I'm just able to walk from being in bed for 4 days. So I went and got some food and came back, and I worked a week. I stayed 9 days in that hotel.
So they needed you right now.
Immediately.
And you wanted to fucking go eat. What a slacker you are. I just wanted to come talk to you about a job, man.
Right. I just wanted to see if it was possible.
Can I start next week sometime? Or that's funny.
So I managed to stay 9 days in the hotel. I stayed in the room and ate, and I think the whole time, out of pocket, I think it only cost me like $150.
So 9 days in a hotel.
Because I was earning money
Right.
to pay for my food and room
Right.
and recuperate.
How much you make on the job site?
Oh, I want to say it was like between 175 and 250 a day.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Good, hard,
Yeah.
honest work.
Yeah.
Do
And
you feel-
then,
do you feel good about your efforts?
oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it was ridiculous. This thing was massive.
So it was just you and 2 other guys?
Well, it was me and 2 other guys, and there was a girl that was cutting all the wood and handing it to us. And then one of the guys had to go work at another job, and one of the guys was going on vacation. And I'm thinking, I'm not really better. Like, I kind of still want to stick around, but I don't want to spend cash to stay in the room.
Right.
So the girl winds up calling me, and she says, hey, do you want to work anymore? I'm like, yeah, I still want to work. What's up? She says, well, there's still stuff to be done. And if you want to work, you can come, and I'll keep you working.
Okay.
But the guys have gone off.
All right.
So we wound up digging. They had already tamped down the concrete and sand, and we dug down 10 inches through hard pack and 18 inches wide and probably 60 feet to put a chain wall in. And it had already been hosed and tamped down. And so it was crazy. It took us like 24 hours total of work for, I think, her and I to dig everything out of this channel to have new rebar put in, and then we're going to come put concrete in. I left before all that got done. I mean, put the bar in, but
yeah, that's hard work.
It was a lot. I mean, it was so hard. I had the long spike, and like I jam the spike in and wiggle it around, and you'd have to do that 50 times in a spot this big just to be able to take a little bit of earth off.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd have to do that 3 or 4 times to get down to the 10 inches. It was a lot. But I wound up recuperating. Everything was fine. And then I think we had some friends that got the subway pass for Zion. It's one of the hikes. They won a lottery.
Right.
And so we wound up going to Zion and hung out there for a couple of days. And then it kind of gets to be a blur. I have to look at the pictures. Oh, I think from Zion, I wound up going down into the Parashant, the Grand Canyon Parashant, and spent 5 days down there, and then came out back into St. George, Utah, and stayed in Utah for, I don't know, another month or so, and then went to Colorado and stayed there for a week in Ouray, a week in Pitkin, 2 weeks in Salida, and a week in Steamboat. So 6 weeks I was in Colorado at that point. And then I've stayed there 2 more weeks other than that. So 2 months in Colorado. Then worked my way to Utah. Stayed in Utah for a little bit. And that's when that's when the trip really started. I guess I was 5 months in at that point, but I had never been more than 350 miles away from somebody that was willing to come and get me.
Yeah.
Either, Gary's house or Jim, or had never been more than that. And so the first day that I left my buddies in Utah, I did 525 miles. And I stopped in this
In one
place
day.
in one day.
Oh wow.
It was miserable.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, because the bike's not fast enough. You
Right.
can see 100 miles straight ahead of you, but you can't go over 65. And at this point, I'm comfortable with the load that I'm carrying. I'm just not able to go faster,
Yeah.
which was horrible. So I wound up running about 400 and about 25, about 480, about 480 miles straight, and stopped and got a burger. And I'm in this little place, and they said free camping. So I went and looked outside, and I could camp along the trees outside. And I was telling the guy behind the bar, like, hey, I'll take a beer and a burger. I'm going to stay and camp. And some contractors were there. And one of the contractors wound up walking up to me, and he says, you talking about camping here? I said, yeah. And he's just staring at me. And I said, no. He went, he said, we've been working around here for a long time. He says, you don't want to be here right now. He said, this is like one of those the hills have eyes kind of places. I said, so what if I go back up the road about 2 miles? There was a bunch of trees on the side of the road. He says, you don't want to be anywhere around here. I said, he says, look, man. He said, this is the kind of place where people disappear. He said, we've stayed here at night, and it gets rowdy. Like, people come out of nowhere.
Yeah, yeah.
So he said, get back on the bike and run to the next little town. So I went to the next town, which was about 40 miles away, and got a $50 room. And then the next day I left and went to Lake Tahoe. And from Lake Tahoe, that's where I started. Well, that 525 really got the average up to 275, but that's where I started jumping and going straight up through the Cascades up to Canada on gravel.
That's cool stuff.
So there was a spot that I got to where it said the road was closed and there was cameras on the road and like people are watching and there's a guard shack. I was like, well, I'm not going back. I'm just going one direction. So if something happens, I'm just going to keep going in one direction. And it was
Yeah, you lost me. Where was this?
in the Cascades.
Okay.
They had had fires in the past.
Okay.
And so they were up there logging,
All right.
getting that wood out of there. And so I was going through it was Saturday. So I was going through an active logging area, but there was nobody back there. And the gates weren't exactly closed. They were like pushed to the side and said road closed, but it didn't block the road.
Yeah.
So I kept going, and it was gorgeous. It was just amazing.
Even though it had been burned?
Oh, even though it had been burned.
Yeah.
Because they had, well, it's not every day that you're riding along through green forest and then you go up and around a corner and everything is just black.
Yeah.
So that was cool to see.
Yeah.
And then where they had cut
And you could see further.
Oh, yeah.
With no foliage, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then where they had cut the trees and the trees were laying on the side of the road, you're riding past the trees and some of them are this big around.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just thousands of them cut and stacked everywhere.
Huh.
So that was kind of neat. And I never got stopped.
Huh.
There was nobody back there. I mean, it might have been on the
Yeah, they're probably
weekdays.
just trying to keep the traffic down. So
Yeah.
I don't know that they can close forest roads. So.
Well, you're riding along and it's like, I'm watching the map and it's like 10 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles, 40 miles. When I got to 50 miles and I hadn't seen anybody, I'm thinking, okay, the bike.
Up. 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 What was that? Oh, we got a little bit of a signal. Oh, it's not. Yeah, it doesn't like living off of this phone. If we can't get back on, we'll just kill it. No, this